Why SANJI is the most underrated Haki user in One Piece. If this topic sounds familiar to you, it's probably because this video is inspired by a video from Mr. Morj titled Why Zoro is the most underrated Haki user in One Piece. And before you jump to conclusions, no, this is not a diss towards Mr. Morj or an effort to make Zoro look bad. Morj is actually one of my favorite YouTubers, and he's easily making some of the best One Piece analysis and theory videos on the internet, and he's just an all-around chill guy. Make sure to go check his original video out, along with the rest of his channel, link will be in the description. I just thought it was a really interesting idea for a video, and wanted to provide my own perspective with my favorite One Piece character, SANJI. Now, after hearing that initial statement about SANJI being the most underrated Haki user, to some it may come off as controversial. Namely because of his rivalry with Zoro, who is also an extremely prominent Haki user, but I promise this is not an anti-Zoro video. It's just that Zoro's displays of Haki within the story are much more pronounced due to his role in the crew, and the fact that he's a swordsman, whereas with SANJI his feats are there, but aren't always as easy to identify. So while Morj's video focused on Zoro's growth and his aptitude towards Haki, my goal here is to prove to you how proficient SANJI actually is with Haki. So without further ado, let's get into the video. And quickly, if you like this topic and are interested in seeing more videos from my channel, make sure to like and subscribe for all future updates. So first up, we're going to be starting off with Armament Haki. I think that sometimes readers can forget that SANJI is pretty much always using Armament Haki because he literally wears black every day of his life, which is why I love little moments like in Wano where it can be made more clear. But as you all know, Armament Haki is Zoro's specialty, but that doesn't mean that SANJI is not a powerful armament user. For starters, in Morj's video, he mentions that Zoro displayed early signs of armament, observation, and Conqueror's Haki pre-time skip, and I could not agree more. I would however like to point out that there is a small degree of contention that SANJI may have been the first Straw Hat to utilize Armament Haki. While I can't find the exact video, I've first heard this thought from King of Lightning, also one of my favorite creators and a fellow SANJI stan, go check him out, but he stated that the fight between SANJI and Pearl back in the Baratier arc saw a unique moment where SANJI displayed an extreme resistance towards fire, in an instance where even Luffy complained of the heat. And with SANJI unlocking Ifrit Jambe during his fight against Queen, it is now confirmed that Armament Haki provides resistance against extreme heat, which can be seen in various examples such as Luffy's Red Hawk and Shanks blocking Akainu's Magma Fist. So while it was never outright confirmed that SANJI was using Haki in this instance, you wouldn't really have to jump through too many hoops to jump to that conclusion, but again, this is just speculation. Also, quick tangent about Pearl. This is really his official manga color? It looks weird compared to the anime and I've never really noticed it until now, but Toei really clutched up on this one. Also, shout out to the Creek Pirates who we got to see in one of the recent chapters. Pearl looks like he might have actually gotten some upgrades. But speculation aside, let's go over some of SANJI's more prominent displays of Armament Haki. SANJI blocking Judge's spear with his leg during Whole Cake Island is his first outrightly mentioned combat-related display of Armament Haki, as Luffy revealing that SANJI was a Haki user during Punk Hazard is his first overall. Being able to block bladed attacks using one's own body with the use of Haki is extremely impressive, and while SANJI did sustain very minor damage from this, I'd argue SANJI displayed much better use of armament than Luffy during a similar interaction with Hody during Fishman Island. Within in-universe time, these events were not that far apart, and while the Straw Hats have grown much stronger since that arc, Judge is also much more powerful than Hody was, so it levels out fairly evenly. Prior to this, SANJI was even able to damage and withstand attacks from prominent Haki users such as Virgo and Doflamingo, who were effectively able to put up a fight against characters such as Smoker, Law, and even Luffy. Doflamingo even took notice of how strong SANJI was, the same guy who later on ragdolled Law and base Luffy. Jumping back in heat resistance, SANJI can be seen clash with Big Mom's homie Zeus unscathed, the same homie whose lightning bolts were able to cause damage to Big Mom herself. SANJI is also famously able to withstand the immense heat of his techniques of Diable and Ifrit Jambe, and is at times able to encase his entire body in flames with moves such as Hell Memories. And while Oda jokingly stated that SANJI's love burns hotter than any flame as the reason behind it, there's gotta be a deeper meaning to this. Pre-time skip SANJI was able to burn Jabra to the point that it felt like his bones were melting. The same Jabra who is a zone user who naturally possesses the best physical stats of all fruit users, and is also a proficient user of Iron Body as well. Since then, SANJI has evolved this technique to become even hotter, with Ifrit Janbei sporting blue flames, and has been shown to be able to damage and burn Queen, an ancient Zoan user who is inherently stronger than standard Zoans, and who has been shown taking blows from Big Mom, and it wouldn't be too out there to assume that he is also sparred with King at some point, who also possesses powerful flames. So being able to handle heat this hot for prolonged periods of time definitely requires some strong armament, and while SANJI's German genes played a role as well, his Haki seems to be the primary proponent, as he was able to achieve Diable Janbei without them. Lastly, some of SANJI's most recent and arguably most impressive displays of Armament Haki occurred in the Egghead arc, where SANJI can be seen kicking around Seraphim S Shark and having an overall easier time with his battle compared to Luffy and Zoro, who are confirmed advanced Conqueror users, especially in Zoro's case, as he just recently defeated a Lunarian with the same defense system. But most importantly is SANJI's feat of intercepting Kizaru's light beam. Reaction speed aside, trust me, we'll get to that later, SANJI not only blocked, but completely nullified the same lasers that were able to damage Whitebeard, and according to Kizaru himself, Big Mom and Kaido caused the most lackadaisical admiral to make this confused of a face. Never in the story have we ever seen a Logi user's element be completely nullified by anything other than the exact counter elements such as water with crocodile and rubber with a no. Sandman, a well-known Japan-based source for all things One Piece, stated that the onomatopoeia used for when SANJI clashed with Kizaru's beam was that of a tire or balloon popping or a gunshot being fired. This is what elicited the surprised reaction from Kizaru, as well as his questioning of physics, as again, SANJI cites the power of love as a reason for being able to do so. If this doesn't prove to you how capable of an armament user SANJI is, I truly don't know what will. Moving on to the next area of discussion is Observation Haki, which is of course the specialty of our boy SANJI. Following the same structure as the armament portion, we'll start with his growth. So while I was unable to find any evidence of SANJI using Observation Haki during pre-time skip, he always seems to be at the right place at the right time. SANJI has always been an extremely clutch and cunning crewmate for the Straw Hats, somehow foiling the villain's plans when they least expect it, such as the Mr. Prince moment and opening the gates of justice. And while these instances aren't directly related to Haki, having this as a personality trait likely contributed to his future specialty in observation. But let's get on to the feats. Starting off, during the Punk Hazard arc, SANJI displayed his first confirmed feats of Observation Haki. Firstly, we see him using Perception Observation while on Nami's body to locate Kinemon in the lake. This is impressive because you know that an overuse of Haki can cause physical fatigue to the user's body, such as in Gear 4th, so being able to maintain this level of observation in an untrained body is nothing to scoff at. The next example during Punk Hazard may come off as a gag, but it's SANJI being able to hear the tears of Tashigi from an entirely different area of Caesar's lab. It's easy to write this off as nothing more than one of SANJI's simp moments. This is actually the beginning of an interesting trend involving SANJI's emotions and his Haki. In addition to Tashigi, during the Wano arc, SANJI is able to sense Black Maria and her servant from an entirely different floor, singling out their conversation during an all-out war of literally thousands of combatants. Not only does this show immense Haki growth in a short time, as he struggled with finding Kinemon during Punk Hazard, this was something that Luffy and Jinbei hadn't even picked up on, and Luffy even comments that he still has a lot to learn about observation. Now upon hearing that, some viewers may be thinking, well, how can that be when Luffy literally learned Future Sight like an arc ago? Well, that's because Observation Haki is actually broken into two main spheres: Precognition, which allows you to read opponents' moves, and Perception, which allows you to read your environment. Some characters are clearly better at one sphere than others, but just because Luffy has Future Sight does not mean his Perception Haki is on the same level. And I urge you to watch the video King of Lightning did regarding this. It's an excellent breakdown of all things observation, which is especially helpful considering it's one of the hardest abilities to visually communicate in the series. And lastly, with his emotion-related perception, we have his recent instance of locating Bonnie during the Egghead Island arc, but here's what makes this interesting. This instance, in addition to the others that SANJI has showcased with Tashigi and Black Maria, would make him one of the only characters in the series who can hear sound via Observation Haki. With Tashigi, he heard her teardrop from another area of the lab. With Black Maria, he heard her conversation from an entirely different floor, and with Bonnie, he heard her screams while she was trapped underwater. The only other character we know of who could achieve something like this is Eneru, and this is only possible through assistance from his Devil Fruit. Even an Observation Haki master such as Katakuri was unable to overhear the conversation between Pudding and SANJI. And if you were wondering, Luffy's voice of all things is seemingly something else entirely, and Kobe's awakening seems similar to Aisa from Skypiea, where voices seems to be interchangeable for presence. Credit goes to Chrono from the Worst Gen boards for this observation. It's important to note that SANJI's color of perception is not exclusive to women, as on Zoe he was able to sense Nekomamushi's strength on the island, and with how skilled minks are at hiding their presence, This shows how precise and fine-tuned Sanji's observation can be. Additionally, during his fight with Queen, Sanji was able to pinpoint his opponent who had turned completely invisible, which he was previously incapable of doing as shown in his fight with Absalom. And while many readers might be quick to cite Queen's gargantuan weight, giving him up by making the floor creak, Sanji still knew the location of Queen's otherwise non-existent neck, as made apparent in the name of Sanji's attack, Collier, meaning collar or neck, as well as other attacks detailing specific body parts of the invisible dino. Moving on to Sanji's precognition feats, you'll notice that there are much fewer instances, but quality over quantity is the name of the game in this category, as across the board, most One Piece characters are lacking precog feats due to its difficulty to repeatedly implement. Even outside of the Katakuri fight, Oda stopped pointing out to the reader each and every instance Future Sight is being used. The reader should just already know that it's being applied. But starting out, we have a feat that actually caused quite a bit of controversy within the community when its chapter was first released, and this is none other than the Jellybean feat. The amount of ridicule that this panel has received over the years is truly mind-boggling, and as a Sanji fan, I cannot stand for this. From what we've seen, Katakuri is the master of Future Sight, able to see several seconds into the future, knowing what move you're going to make before you even make it. This has assisted him in having a flawless win-loss record, and has even shown the lethality of this ability earlier in the arc by taking out an assassin with said Jellybean. Sanji, who was in one of his most vulnerable states, being enamored by a woman, which has caught him off guard on numerous occasions, was able to dodge an attack from someone who already knew exactly how he was going to dodge. The man who literally sees the future could not see how Sanji would react and was utterly surprised at this. He didn't even make this face once Luffy unlocked Future Sight, and as far as we know, Sanji doesn't even have it yet. You can't even make this shit up. And if your argument was that Katakuri wasn't trying, his little sister was right next to his target, so I'd like to think he put a substantial amount of effort into his shot to avoid hitting her. This is the equivalent of Kid still managing to destroy Shanks' fleet and being able to clash or dodge his divine departure, even though Shanks already saw all of that happen. And a lot of readers would be quick to trash Shanks and call him a fraud for this, but for whatever reason, very little respect seems to be given to Sanji for this feat. And last but not least, we have Sanji's most recent and debatably most impressive feat of precognition, which is detecting and intercepting Kizaru's beam of literal light. The only other characters we've seen doing something similar are characters like Rayleigh, Marco, and recently even Luffy, who are currently some of the fastest characters and most proficient observation users in the verse. At times there is a lot of discrepancy as to whether Kizaru is actually light speed, but this is such a lame and discriminatory argument. He is made of light. No one questions whether Ace was actually stovetop fire or natural fire, or if Enel is actually lightning speed because he's made of lightning. I know that speed can be wildly inconsistent in One Piece at times, but trying to discredit an entire character and their devil fruit isn't the way around that. Again, this was done without Future Sight, which is a testament to Sanji's base observation, as well as his greatly increased movement speed, but best believe that Sanji will be unlocking Future Sight in the near future. Now, naturally, the next type of Haki to analyze would be Conqueror's Haki, where Sanji's feats are non-existent, because he doesn't have Conqueror's Haki. While there have been some reasons for people to speculate that Sanji has or will unlock Conqueror's Haki, such as Diable Jambe being related to Conqueror's Haki in some way, while I think it's possible, I'm honestly rather indifferent on the matter. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see Sanji using Conqueror's infused kicks, and Luffy being a captain where both of his wings have Conquerors, would place his crew above Roger's, assuming Scopper did not have Conquerors, but I've never felt that Sanji needed this as a character or a combatant. Even if he never gets it, he'll be known as the monster who never needed a fruit or King's Haki to become one of the strongest of all time. Lastly, we have the final point that Morj addressed in his video, regarding that Zoro possesses a unique trait of Haki that no one else in the story has ever displayed, and that is Ashura being a physical manifestation of Conqueror's Haki. I have my own opinions on this, but I also don't think that Mr. Morj is wrong in saying this. I would, however, like to add that for as long as this has been a point of speculation within the community, Diable Jambe has always usually been attached to the conversation with the same ideas. That since we've never really seen anyone do anything similar to what Sanji has done, it's possible that it could be a manifestation of Conqueror's Haki as well. I do think that if Ashura is a possibility, then Diable should also be a possibility. Being that there is much less evidence available to support this, then I would like to propose a separate unique haki trait for Sanji. Sanji's haki is amplified by his emotions. Yes, I know that will is technically an emotion, but I mean more romantic and interpersonal emotions such as love or infatuation. The instances where Sanji was able to pick up on very unnoticeable instances of danger always seemed to occur when it was a woman in distress, like with Tashigi and Black Maria's servant. The natural emotions that he feels for beautiful women were able to amplify the preciseness of his perception to such acuity that other notable observation users such as Luffy, Jinbei, and Law had not noticed themselves. And opposingly, when Sanji spent 2 years in the Kamabaka Queendom, where his feelings of infatuation were at their absolute lowest, this is where Sanji developed his technique Hell Memories. And if you subscribe to the idea of Sanji's flames being a result of unconscious armament and or Conqueror's usage, then that would make a lot of sense as well. This also fits perfectly with Sanji's character arc, as the emotions that his mother Sora sacrificed her life to protect are now in turn making him stronger to protect other women, exact opposite of what Judge wanted for him, thus rebelling against his German lineage. I do also think that it's interesting that throughout the series, whenever we see Sanji angry, we see an increase of flames which could be armament related, and all his notable observation moments come from when he's in a state of peace, as learned from the Katakuri fight. It could very well be that Sanji's armament is at its strongest when he's angry, and his observation is at its best when he's infatuated. But if this sounds good to you, just wait, because I have even more to add to make Sanji stand out. During the Wano arc, Morj released a video titled Sanji's Haki Upgrade in Wano, and discussed that with the added power up of invisibility being practically useless, in a world where people can read attacks with their eyes closed, it's likely that Oda was planning a new branch of observation to complement this. Essentially, while invisible, Sanji would be able to use his observation to conceal his own presence so that even other observation users wouldn't be able to detect him. Obviously, Sanji no longer has the raid suit, but has been shown to be able to move fast enough to appear invisible. Personally, I really like this idea because it sets him apart from other observation users in the One Piece world, and it kind of reminds me of Melioran's ability from Hunter x Hunter. I can see this actually holding even more weight knowing what we know now, with Shanks seemingly being able to disable other people's observation haki. It's another great video, definitely check it out. But speculation and theory crafting aside, I think I've made it very clear just how competent Sanji is as a haki user, and just how underrated he actually is. In a lot of ways, he is comparable, if not superior, to his peers in a similar class, and deserves to be treated as such. But again, thank you to Mr. Morj for inspiring this video with his own, and please again, go check it out for yourself. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Alright, video done guys, and while I always have fun making the videos here on this channel, being that this was a Sanji video and nonetheless a Sanji power scaling video, I had extra fun making this one, and I hope that it showed in the, the quality of the video. Again, I just wanted to reiterate to anyone who's watching at the end still that this was not an anti-Zoro video. This was not to make Sanji look better than Zoro, and this was also not like a jab at Mr. Morj. Morj is like literally one of my favorite YouTubers. I watch him every day. I try to make every stream. This wasn't meant to compete with him. It's just his video. When I saw it, I was like, hey, I can make a similar video but with Sanji, and it inspired me. So this is all that is. Shout out to Mr. Morj. Go check him out. Subscribe. Also shout out to King of Lightning for the number of sources in the video. Shout out to him. Go check him out. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I can't wait to get more videos out for you guys. And if it's really hot where you are, as it is where I am, I hope you guys get to stay cool, and I'll be seeing y'all when I see y'all. Peace.